Welcome, and thank you for standing by. All participants will be able to listen only until the question and answer portion of today's conference. At that time, please press star one on your phone to ask a question. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, please disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the conference over to Josh Finch. Sir, you may begin.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the post-launch news conference for NASA and SpaceX's 25th Commercial Resupply Services mission to the International Space Station. Launch occurred this evening at 8:44 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Here to talk about the mission thus far, we're joined by Dina Quintella, Operations Integration Manager for the International Space Station Program for NASA, and Benjamin Reed, Senior Director, Human Spaceflight Programs at SpaceX. We'll begin with opening comments from each of our speakers and then turn it over for questions. For media, you can press star one to enter the question queue. First, we'll go to Dina.
Okay, thank you, Josh, and welcome to everybody that's listening in. It really was a beautiful launch, and I'm excited to see CRS-25 Dragon headed to the space station. So congratulations to everybody at SpaceX, and I know our scientists and cargo providers are looking forward to seeing all their fruits of their labors arriving at ISS when Dragon docks at 10:20 a.m. Central Time on Saturday. And Dragon will be docking to the forward port of Harmony, and we're anticipating about a 33-day mission. So the crew on board ISS is doing great, and Bob Hines and Jessica Watkins are primed to monitor Dragon's arrival, and Kjell Lindgren would be assisting them if needed. As you've been hearing in the pre-launch press conferences, Dragon is carrying over 5,800 pounds of supplies and cargos to station, with about half of it devoted to science. And you guys already heard a lot about the science discussed at the pre-launch press conference and the pre-launch coverage, so I'll just highlight a few other items that are coming up on Dragon. One item is a spare dose pump, which is critical for the toilet. The toilet, of course, we call it the Waste and Hygiene Compartment, the WHC. And the dose pump provides doses of a substance called pre-treat into the toilet system to chemically treat the urine before we filter and process it to reclaim the water. The dose pump on ISS is working today, so no worries there. It's just a spare part for a future change-out. Also, we've launched some brine processor assembly bladders, and these allow us to recover even more water from the urine after its normal processing. So these bladders further increase our ability to reclaim as much water as possible. We're also bringing up 2 filters for our potable water dispenser, and these filters are used to remove iodine from water consumed by the crew in their drink bags and hydrated food. In the Dragon trunk, we've manifested a spare battery charge discharge unit, BCDU, and it's a spare for the ISS electrical power system. The BCDU is riding alongside the science payload that's been highlighted a few times. That payload is the EMIT payload, Earth Surface Mineral Dust Source Investigation, and that's studying dust in the Earth's atmosphere. And both of those external items will be pulled out of the Dragon trunk via the robotic arm, while Dragon has made it to the ISS forward port. And this will be the first time that the robotic trunk extractions are done with Dragon in this position on ISS. Also critical in the return complement of hardware when it comes back from ISS, Dragon will be bringing home a spacesuit. Back in March, we saw some unexpected water enter into Mateus's helmet after he ingressed the airlock, and we really want to get that suit back to aid in the investigation. It's going to be a very busy next few weeks on board ISS with all the experiments and cargo that Dragon is bringing up. I just really want to congratulate again the SpaceX and NASA teams on another great launch, and I'm looking forward to the Dragon docking on Saturday. With that, I'll hand it over to Benji Reed from SpaceX.
Thanks, Dina. Really appreciate this, and as always, it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to provide transportation for all the great stuff and all those pounds of cargo that you were just talking about. It's amazing to think about space station and its importance in international cooperation and science. I had the opportunity here tonight to actually be with a number of the payloaders as they were able to watch the launch live. And that was a real treat for me. And certainly it seemed to be a great experience for all of them, getting to watch their payloads go up on the Falcon Dragon system and heading to the space station to get a whole bunch of great research done. Again, it's an honor for us at SpaceX to be part of that and to help provide those transportation. Today, we just lifted off successfully, as we all know, for our 25th cargo resupply mission. Pretty awesome. And both Falcon and Dragon performed nominally. Dragon continues to perform nominally. The Falcon 9 booster landed on the Shortfall of Gravitas drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. And Dragon is on its way to the space station. We're looking to dock here at about 38 and a half hours from launch time, so about 11:20 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning. Once we're docked, the vehicle will remain in orbit for about a month, at which point it will undock for its return to Earth and splash down off the coast of Florida. We're excited to continue to help transport this kind of cargo all the time for NASA, and also, of course, to carry the crew members who are the key component for doing the research and managing things on station. And then, of course, being able to transport the materials needed to keep station running, like we just heard about, and also to keep the astronauts equipped for everything they need. It's kind of a cool fact to note that this was SpaceX's 30th mission of 2022, and last year we did 31 missions for the entire year. So we're excited to be on track for doubling last year's launch rate. It's also our third mission to space station this year, and as I told the crowd that was here watching the launch tonight, it kind of blows my mind, having been with the company for almost 11 years, or a little over 11 years, and back when we were super excited, each one of these launches would go off, and each time we get to the space station, I managed CRS-3, and there was a kind of a big gap between CRS-2 and CRS-3 as we were all working on a number of items, and to think that we've launched 3 Dragons to station already this year is pretty cool, including the first all-commercial mission to station and a NASA crew mission as well. In all of this, of course, it's not possible without our partnership with NASA, with the Space Force, and all of our customers. We can't thank you enough for the opportunity to be part of this and to be part of this great science community.
And thank you, Benji. And with that, we'll turn it over to the question and answer portion from media. As a reminder, if you'd like to enter the question queue, please press *1 on your phone. And our first question tonight will go to Bill Harwood at CBS News.
As you guys would schedule these launches at this hour all the time, because it was genuinely spectacular over here. A real quick question, maybe it's for Benji, I guess. I've been hearing some rumblings that Crew 5 is going to slip a little bit. I wonder if you had any update for us or anything you could tell us about that. I mean, maybe I'm hearing wrong. You never know. Just wanted to check on that. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great question, and of course I'll defer specific launch date stuff, of course, to NASA, because we're here to serve their needs. But we work closely together on it, Bill. And the truth is, we're looking at the hardware, we're looking at launch date availability, and we're still aiming certainly for the fall and looking at when the best time to put all this together. So I don't have any updates for you now. I know it's probably not what you wanted to hear, but we're certainly working closely with NASA on that.
Well, I mean, can maybe NASA or somebody just, are we anywhere near the September 1 target, or is it going to slip a little past that, if it is slipping?
Well, this is Dina. I'll just add that, it's still on the schedule for that time frame. And, like Benji said, we're looking at the schedules really hard. So I don't really have an update for you at this point.
Okay, thanks.
And our next question is from Irene Klotz at Aviation Week.
Thanks so much. I have 2 questions for Benji. The first is, I know you went through this a little bit yesterday, but I think I was not really understanding the connection between the decision to recheck the chutes on the Dragon and the valve leak. If you could just maybe go through what the concerns were and if there was anything else that needed to be checked and cleared. And then I was also curious about how SpaceX is handling the buildup of 39A with Starship with all your operational missions? Like, are there some things that you can do and then you stand down for, and then you need a chunk of time to continue the gantry build, or how is the development of that for the future interfaced with your operational missions at 39A? Thank you.
Hi, Irene. Those are great questions, and I'm happy to reiterate a little bit on the parachute. So just to talk again, so this is about the capsule that's in orbit right now for CRS-25. As I think most folks are aware, we had a vapor leak for our propellant, our fuel, a small leak that was detected well before integration onto the rocket and whatnot. So it was a good time to find that, and the rigor of our testing and inspections is part of why we found that. What happens though is in that leak there's a little bit of this vapor, right? There's a gaseous form of that fuel, and that fuel can react with certain kinds of materials and potentially cause those materials to degrade. So what we did is we analyzed and inspected to understand where possibly that vapor could have gotten to, so what kind of surfaces it could have come into contact with, and then what on the vehicle, and in the region of where the leak was, and we pinpointed where the leak was, so we knew exactly where that was and where the vapor could have gotten to. And we assessed the materials of where potential contact could have happened to make a decision on if there was any risk of degradation to those materials. The only one that had any potential risk that we were concerned about was the material, some of the material that's in the parachute. And we, so out of an abundance of caution, we removed the main parachutes. And when I say the parachutes, I'm specifically talking about the main parachutes here, not the drogues. So we removed the main parachutes and replaced them with a set of main parachutes that were being prepared for a future flight. So one of the great benefits of having a fleet and basically building a lot of materials and subassemblies and components at rate. So we were able to pull, kind of from the shelf, if you will, for a future mission. And we replaced that. And that's what enabled us to, proceed with tonight's launch. At the same time, we took those parachutes that were originally planned for CRS-25, and they're going through inspections and assessment now. And initial indications are that there actually is no problem. There was no impact, no degradation. But we'll continue to go through the rigor of that process to ensure that we understand if there was any potential issue with those chutes. If we can 100% clear those chutes and we're sure that they are safe for flight, then we hope to use those on a future flight. In terms of your other question about the Starship pad at 39A, we're super excited about Starship, its capability for particularly tonight we're talking about a cargo mission, which is all about the science, and supplying the space station, which is also all about science. And so, Starship is going to be able to carry a whole lot of science into low Earth orbit and certainly beyond. And so that's we're excited about that. I think our partners and our customers are excited for that as well. 39A will be one of the important locations where we'll be able to launch from. But at the same time, we have a very important manifest, for all kinds of customers, particularly for NASA and the space station, where we got to keep them going, right? We've got to keep those launches going, keep those flights going. So the goal here is to be able to do these things in parallel and build up, our Starship capabilities. At the same time, we continue this great rate of flight that I mentioned earlier for Falcons and Falcons and Dragons and Falcons and satellites. So it's pretty exciting. So the answer is that yeah, we're pushing ahead for all these things closely with our partners in good agreement and keeping everybody tightly in the loop. And at the same time, we're doing it in parallel, guaranteeing access to the International Space Station for both crew and cargo as a top priority for SpaceX and in our partnership with NASA.
And our next question is from Stephen Clark at Spaceflight Now.
Hi, congratulations on the successful launch. A couple of questions. First off, maybe for Dina, I think we heard yesterday that the NG-18 mission from Northrop Grumman is slipping from I think, the August timeframe to mid-October. Curious what the reason for that delay was, if you can share that. And for Benji, I think SpaceX has confirmed you're building a third Cargo Dragon to add to the rotation of two Cargo Dragons currently flying. Are you going to stop there with 3 Cargo Dragons, or are you going to have 4 Cargo Dragons like you have 4 Crew Dragons? Just, how many Cargo Dragons are you going to be building before you close off that line? Thanks.
Okay, and this is Dina. So first on the Northrop Grumman question, I'll just say that we've been working closely, like we always do, with all the providers on vehicle processing, and so it's a vehicle processing type of a scenario here. And the details of the vehicle processing, I'd like to refer you to Northrop Grumman on that, but just wanted to, it's basically related to that type of a situation. And then over to Benji for the second part too.
Yeah, you bet. In fact, we actually have 3 Cargo Dragons already, and the fourth and final Cargo Dragon is coming later this year, and that'll be a new Dragon on CRS-26. So now that's a good fleet for cargo. Right now, that seems like the right size fleet, but as usual for both Cargo and Crew Dragons, we stay close with NASA, and we assess the fleet, and we look at all of our customers, and and then our production line stands ready to do what it needs to do. But right now we've got 3 cargos with the fourth one coming for 26, and I think that's a pretty good size fleet for what we got planned at the moment.
And our next question is from Josh Dinner at space.com.
Hi, thanks so much for y'all doing this. A quick question for Dina and then one for Benji. Are you able to tell me the exact weight for the Emmet science device payload? Just curious about that. And then for Benji, people have been noticing the stream for the launches, especially on the drone ships, has gotten a lot clearer since the launch of Starlink Maritime. I was wondering if you were able to expand on that and add anything to how that is, added to how SpaceX is covering and streaming launches right now.
Okay, and on the mass of the payload, I'll have to get you that. I don't have it offhand. I'm sorry. We'll get that to you.
Okay. Oh, and in terms of the streaming and the video coming from the drone ships, Starlink is awesome. This is a great example, and I think you may have seen, like, we're able to do Starlinks for all maritime use now too. So it's a wonderful platform. It's a wonderful tool for providing that kind of high speed bandwidth, around the world. So that's a great example of it.
And our next question is from Marvin Marshall at the Nighttime News Space Report.
Hi, my name is Marvin Marshall. Thanks for taking my question. What a wonderful launch tonight with the twilight effect and everything. I guess my question goes out to Benji over here. This was the 56th consecutive landing of a Falcon 9 first stage booster, which is so impressive. Are there any upgrades being considered for the Falcon 9 now that you guys have found something that has worked so well? Very impressive, and you folks are making it look so easy.
Well, first of all, I totally agree. I very much love being on console and being there right with the teams who are really running things, and of course with our customers who are there on console as well. But this time, as I mentioned, I had the opportunity to be here with all the payloaders and here at the OSB building and Kennedy Space Center and get to watch it from the balcony, and it was amazing. So I love these times, the time of day for a launch. You can see that, see the plume and see so much of the rocket as it catches the sun back up in the as it gets in the upper atmosphere. It's just gorgeous. So I'm glad you got to enjoy that as well. In terms of the rocket, that it's a funny question, right? You say, hey, are we upgrading? Is there something we can improve? And the answer is yes, of course. There's always stuff to improve, right? We're doing something wrong in space flight and probably generally in engineering and in innovation if you're not constantly looking for how to do it better. That's very, very important. And in fact, it's critical to safety and reliability. And as important as, we want to be reliable for carrying cargo and supplies to the space station. We look at these science payloads that go up, and these are people's life work or their a major part of their career. And so they're super critical. That's got to always make it. And then we talk about flying humans, and safety is paramount. And the way we get to all of that is by being vigilant and by being willing to change, upgrade, improve, and certainly fix anytime we find something that's gone wrong, or anything that could be better. And so the short answer, maybe not the long answer, is we do this all the time. And so you're always making little tweaks. Now, there's a process for that. We go carefully with our partners and our customers. Our vehicles are certified. The Dragon is certified for carrying cargo and for interfacing to space station. The launch vehicle and all of the surrounding services are certified for carrying crew. So it's very important that we keep those in certification with NASA, for example, and with other customers. So as we do these upgrades, we go through that process. But it's critical.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Benji. Thank you.
As a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your phone to enter the queue. And our next question is from Bill Harwood at CBS News.
2 from me, and 1 for Dana. It's just really from following up from the briefing last night, which I had to listen later on a recording. You mentioned in there about the seat swap agreement, if it gets approved, and if it didn't get approved, you were saying the deadline was the end of next week. I wasn't sure what you meant by that. Does that mean that if it isn't in place by the end of next week, you have to start considering putting a different crew member on board, or exactly what you meant? I just was not clear about that. And for Benji, real quick, since you've been talking, and we were looking back through Wikipedia and some other places, and I can't find a third Dragon capsule that's operational. I'm just making sure I heard you right and haven't missed one somewhere, because I obviously have. Thanks.
Okay, so first on the integrated crew agreement, we're trying to finalize that here very shortly. In the meantime, we have kind of been working parallel paths on training crew members to fly have multiple different configurations, essentially. And so we've been really closely monitoring the crew training and trying to make sure that all the right crew get trained. And so, in order to make sure the training schedules hold for an early September launch, we would like to have that agreement potted by the end of next week. And that will ensure that the crew members are all in the right places and their travel is all lined up. So, of course, we're tweaking and constantly looking at it. And, Dana's point was that we might have to do some trades later if we get crunched for the training, and kind of say, hey, for example, Frank Rubio is training for Soyuz, and on Crew 5 we have Anna Kikina training for SpaceX. And we need to make sure that they all get the right training, but also as a backup plan, have them in their respective backup crew vehicles as well. So we might have to make some trades if our launch dates hold for early September. So that's all she's trying to say, is that we're hoping to get all that potted by the end of next week, so that we don't have to sort of sacrifice any of the crew training in order to continue the parallel path.
But okay, thank you. And then for Benji, yes.
Hey, you know what? You caught me, and I'm gonna claim lots of travel and late night tonight. But you're totally right, and so I hope that we can get corrected for the other questioner from before too.
Well,
yeah, I've got a +1 algorithm running in my brain apparently. So we're yeah, what you had is correct.
No, and just for the record, it wasn't me. It was Stephen Clark at Spaceflight Now that was thinking that. So he thanks you as well. Thanks.
Okay, good. I'm glad I got you guys keeping me honest here.
All right, and then our final question for this evening is from Marvin Marshall at the Nighttime News Space Report.
Awesome. Thanks for taking another question. And a quick question here for Benji here one more time. Now, back in the day, SpaceX used to do technical webcasts, and I've noticed the past couple webcasts have been kind of short. Is there any reason that the Starlink webcasts have only been going live about 5 minutes, T-minus 5 minutes, and are you guys ever going to bring back the technical webcast?
You know what? I'll be honest. I haven't. That's an interesting question, and I don't have a good answer for it. I think the truth is like I mentioned, we're 30 flights this year, and we're gonna have 60 for the year, and there's kind of a point here where I think probably, ultimately we want to be like aircraft and airline-like operations, and do a webcast for every time the airplane takes off. Now I know we're a ways away from that, and rocket launches are awesome to behold and awesome to pay attention to. So we'll still be, feeding out lots of information there, but I don't have a good answer for that specifically.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thank you guys again for taking your questions. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and what an awesome launch. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and I do want to check. We had, it looks like one other media dropped out of the queue, so I think we're good there. And I think that'll bring us to the end of our question and answer portion. With that, we'll go ahead and end the call. But you can follow more along this mission by tuning in to our Space Station blog. You can follow us online at _Space Station on Twitter. We'll have live coverage on Saturday, July 16th, beginning at 10 a.m. on NASA television, the NASA app, and the NASA website for the 11:20 a.m. Eastern Time docking of the SpaceX Dragon to the International Space Station. Thanks all for joining us, and have a good evening.
Thank you for your participation. Participants, you may disconnect at this time.